Good evening, everyone. I am Richa Sehra, Editor-in-Chief and Founder Responsible Hospitals, and today I would like to welcome all of you on our Insta Live channel. So this time I have come up with a very special topic, which is the demand of a lot of people who are looking for attention for the teenagers. So I would have a special educator with me. His name is Komal Sharma. She is doing a brilliant job with an initiative of helping the teenagers to handle the pandemic situation. So we'll be talking about it ASAP. So guys, in case you have any questions regarding the same topic, wherein we're gonna help the teenagers to cope up with the pandemic situation. Hi Komal, how are you doing?
Hi, thank you. Thank you. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah. So Komal, as we know that today's pandemic situation has really differentiated the opinions about the people, opinion about the teenagers, and how people are reacting differently, how people are responding so differently. So we thought of choosing a topic about the teenagers because I know there is a need of the adults also, so and the babies as well. But we thought to pick up something for the teenager because this is what is being a big challenge these days. So you being as a special facilitator and educator, we would really want your inputs on that how these guys are coping up with the situation. What do you think that what has so let's start with that seeing this pandemic situation.
Yeah. So this pandemic situation is just one not difficult for teenagers. I think we can't even name a person who is not affected by this pandemic, right? Be it like no young ones, adults, like no people who are like no kind of like our senior citizens. So everyone is affected. Now there is no such thing called like no it is a rich people's disease or a poor people's disease or anything. So considering that like everyone has suffered and there is no end to it. The most difficult part is that nobody knows any answers, like no, which is creating a lot of anxiety anyways in like no, be it an adult, be it a young one, even like no, when we talk about toddlers and all, they are still too young to understand anything. They are getting their like no, their daily needs are fulfilled, like no, they have their routine and schedule, so they are still fine, but definitely they are getting affected in terms of their development. But when it comes to teenagers, they know exactly what is going on around. They understand a lot of things. Their comprehension levels are much better. So, kids who have recently, like, entered middle school, and suddenly this pandemic thing happened, they had their like dreams that they are going to celebrate their 13th birthday somewhere, or like they had plans to like do a teenage party, so called teenage party or something, but they're not able to do those things. Another thing is like I think first wave is was still kind of like no, everyone was trying to settle in, and it was just not India, all over the world. They were hearing people trying to settle in, like no, people trying different things. That was still a phase when everyone was just trying to adapt, but it stretched and it stretched to another year as well. And now recently when they are seeing a lot of adults suffering, parents losing job, parents are not able to cope up with so much of stress, because it is just not stress at professional level, even at personal level, that they have to take care of everyone around, have to protect everyone, provide like no care to everyone. So it is overwhelming for everyone around. And when they're seeing everyone stressed and all, definitely it is not a conducive environment for them. It is not like a teenager needs hope. A teenager needs to see like what the teenager like no sees like no what I will be when I'll be an adult, because they are able to identify with the adult by this age. Yeah.
Hmm.
So for sure, we are getting a lot of phone calls. We are getting a lot of like no calls because the child is getting like no anxious. The child is not talking, right? Child has suddenly like no locked himself in the room, not coming out, not eating. Kids are having sleep disorders. Kids are having eating disorders. Kids are not able to concentrate. It is becoming overwhelming for them because they are just like no in a particular like no in an area where they can't go out, meet friends. The only thing which they are looking forward to is either maybe a chat with a friend or a video call with a friend. At least if we are in 2021 where at least we have good facilities like no I can like whenever I want I can like no connect with my friend even in US right now. So this is a blessing, this particular uh, technology we have. It's definitely a big blessing in this time, otherwise we wouldn't have survived, right? Survived in the sense how would have like no how we had managed the schooling and other stuff. But at the same time, everything comes with the pros and cons. Now they are getting addicted. They don't see any life without a gadget. That's
True.
the major issue. So parents are like, now parents are helpless because they have to give them gadgets because that's how they are able to study. And when they are giving the gadgets, there is no boundary, right? The kids do not know when to stop and like know what are the boundaries. So these are the major concerns these days in pandemic where we are, like parents are helpless, kids are
Sure.
helpless. They do not know what to do. If you tell them like no do something else, then you don't have options for them.
So,
Yeah.
what kind
So
of emotional changes are they facing? What kind of emotions are
okay,
are developing?
okay. So one is definitely there's a lot of anxiety in them. Yeah, if you see, they're already going through that hormonal phase where there's a lot
True.
of hormonal changes happening. Their physical body is changing. And see, generally, what happens when you are a teenager, you see a lot of development in like no, your body, new development in your body, and you see around and you are able to like no, see, oh, it's okay. It's just a okay thing because even my friend is going through this,
Right.
right? Especially when the girls like no have this particular like no periods and all, like when they get to know, oh, it's a normal thing. Even my friends are like no kind of getting this and it's a okay thing, right? Same way boys when they see that like even my friend's voice is changing, even my friend is having facial hair, so they feel it's okay. But in pandemic that's not happening. They're not getting that assurance, like no reassurance that like, yeah, it's a okay thing because they're not able to like no identify with others right now. They think
True.
this is only my problem. I'm the only one who is getting this. I'm the only one who has suddenly changed. I used to be a pretty cute girl and now suddenly there are a lot of pimples on my face and how ugly I look. Yeah, or
True.
suddenly why I've grown so tall. I look so like no, I look like this or look I look like that. So they're not able to like no understand that it is happening with others as well because they're not able to meet them. Yeah, so this is another thing which is happening. Then a major thing which is happening is like if you so this whole thing happened last year March, right? Since then,
True.
now kids who didn't have gadgets that point of time, now everyone has gadgets. Like parents like no kind of paid extra amount or whatever, but they arrange gadgets for kids.
True.
Now what
Yes.
is happening is like no, as I said, the these technology and everything has pros and like no, here comes your
True.
negative part as well. So kids are getting addicted to Netflix, all these series. Again, I just as I mentioned, like no, they are getting that sleep disorders. Reason being, earlier there was a structure, there was a routine. They used to get up on time. They used to go to school. They used to get ready. Now it's like no, nobody's checking. Nobody's checking is that at least they don't have to go to a bus stop and then board a bus and go to the school where everyone is looking at them.
So basically,
Now
discipline is totally missing.
it's absolutely missing. So they are getting up just like 5 minutes before the class. Then like they just log in, and sometimes some kids are just sleeping. Poor hygiene. They're not maintaining hygiene. Like no, if like no parents are worried about that because there is a structure is suddenly missing. Yeah,
Right.
so there's no structure. So there is no difference between a like no night and a day and a weekend and a weekday. So it's like dragging and dragging. So emotionally they are getting overwhelmed, and we are even getting like no calls where parents are saying that my kid is unnecessarily crying or
Okay.
howling or shouting. So when it comes to like all these things, like these are like your loud emotions, when the child is like literally howling or crying, so it means the child is going through something where the child is just not able to express. Either it is something which the child has seen, maybe the parent is in depression because maybe the parent has lost the job or whatever, or they have like lost a near or dear one, something like that. Or maybe the child is not able to connect with the surrounding right now because everyone is like, no, maybe I don't have a friend in the school and now I can't meet my society friend. So the children are, some children are just feeling lost.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we are getting kind of complaints that the child doesn't speak, or when we even try to connect with the child starts crying, right? So they are getting overwhelmed with the with this, and most importantly, it is one particular thing. Even if they ask questions, parents do not have answer. They do not know when the schools will reopen. They do not know when these things will be fine, when they will be able to go out on a vacation, because there is nobody knows the answer. So,
absolutely.
so I think a lot the this February, January schools were trying to reopen. There
Yeah.
was a like this it started, and kids who just like no got that thing like no they could go to school for 4 days, 5 days. They are really disturbed, and like they feel like what is it? Why we are again confined to this particular thing? And so yeah, so emotionally definitely it is too much to handle when already they are in teenage age, where they are already in that dilemma where they are kids. Am I a kid or am I an adult? So
Sure.
already I'm going through a lot with my body changes, with my emotional like no kind of stability, and on top of that there's a environmental thing as well.
So, Komal, how do you think that parents can actually add something to it? Maybe they can help out. Changing something can help the kids. Sometimes,
Yeah,
as you just clearly mentioned, that they don't have answered the questions.
yeah,
They already know that they cannot actually identify that
yeah,
when will be the right state. Then,
yeah.
how do we, give them an advice or suggestions or tips, something like that, so that they can just help out, with something with the kids. What do you
Yeah.
think about it?
So right now, see, the situation is we being adults, right? The parents really have to be very very clear about whatever. See, earlier what used to happen is the kids used to go to school, parents used to go to office, and they used to get a lot of like no kind of they used to get time out from each other. What is happening is everyone is under the same roof, right? It's like you don't get your privacy, you don't get your like no time out from each other. So that is also becoming a very big challenge these days because nobody is getting the time out from each other. So over here, as an adult, you really need to understand you're not dealing with a kid anymore.
Yeah.
You are dealing with a young adult. The young adult has a capacity to understand, even maybe logically has better answers, right? So one is for my advice, as an educator, as a counselor, and as a parent as well, treat them as young adults and treat them as treat them as your friends. Don't impose things suddenly. Don't become the dictator in the house. Don't try to just kind of behave like parent like that. I am the one who is who's an adult, and you need to listen to me. That doesn't work with teenagers, not at all. Any kind of communication you are doing in a way like which is harsh, which is loud, you are going to get a you will not get a positive result for that. So they will kind of they will just copy you in terms of the tone in which you will be talking to them. They will just kind of like copy that, and they will answer in that particular tone only. So you have to be very very careful the way you speak to your colleagues. Yeah, so don't just assume that they are your kids and you have the authority or you have the right to shout at them, scream at them, or just dictate them anything like do this, do that. You are not doing. Instead, be a role model. Yeah. If 10 times you will approach your child in a polite manner, I'm pretty sure the child will understand. Even if the child is not understanding, please, whenever you are angry or you are like no on that work where the class is about to start and your child hasn't like no logged in, that's not the time to teach him that the importance of discipline. Just note it, like no let your child like no understand that like no the child has missed the class or something, and look for those hours when the child is comfortable and the child is in a position to talk to you or listen to you, right? So every particular situation, now this is a situation which is a new situation, right? So even you do not know the answer, the child doesn't know the answer, so talk as a friend. Okay buddy, now this is the situation, now what can we do together, right?
Right.
How can we make each other's life comfortable, right? As these days, like for example, I'll just give you an example. Like it is not something like not some first the problem will happen and then you will look for solution. No, you know you are an adult, right? That my without a particular like structure, my child will not get up on its own. Like my child will have issues like getting up in the morning. If I will not check, my child may watch TV for 24 hours. It may happen. When I know that if there are going to be issues in the future, why I'm not planning like now? Why I'm waiting for the problems to occur? For example, if like any parent like no asking me, my child is addicted to Netflix. First place, who is the boss of the house? How the child has a Netflix account? The child is addicted to Netflix, but why you are bothered now? Why you were not bothered when you were giving the Netflix account to the child? Why you did not create boundaries that time? What kind of programs you can like know what programs will be allowed? Timings, what will be the timings when the child can watch it? So if you will not set boundaries before giving the gadget or before starting a new thing, then you cannot like not take it back. Now the parents are struggling with the thing. They have already given the gadget without setting the boundary. They have given the Netflix account, Prime Video account, or whatever app account without setting the boundary. Now what they are trying to do is they are trying to just take it from them. That doesn't happen. Now what will happen is the child has lost trust. The child will not trust you. Child will say, "Why did you give it at first place?"
True.
Right? So just do that. Like whenever you are introducing a new thing, new gadget, new particular app, and you really feel it is necessary because he needs to be occupied or she needs to be occupied, please set boundaries. That's my advice.
Sure.
Along
Yeah, I
with that,
think
when
that's
you
really
already
right.
know, so along with that, when you already know Netflix is a thing which you can like no watch 24 hours. So as an adult, I actually know that as an adult it may become an addiction. So after setting the boundary, I really need to put my child into other physical activities as well, because I know for good 5 hours my child is doing online classes. After that, if that my child will like no just after the class my child wants to watch Netflix, not an ideal situation, because if you see 90, I would say on and like recently I was looking at the research, 65% kids like no now have weak eyesight because of this too much of like no visual input we are getting. On top of that, they have as for their entertainment, they are only like no they don't have any other thing other than their TVs and mobiles,
True.
and
True.
mobile is actually more harmful, right? So they are like no suffering, they are having this cervical issue at this age because there is no posture which is maintained. So as an adult, as a parent, these are the structures you have to think like no for your child. Provide a structure and maintain that. There is nothing which happens overnight and then you have to look for solution. Yeah,
Absolutely.
plan
Absolutely.
plan in advance. If I my child has to do online classes, okay, what will be the structure? Where my child will be doing the classes? If the child for the last 1 year child is sitting on the bed and taking classes, imagine the spine, this spine and your neck movement. It is all like it's basically like you the damage is already done. Now suddenly I cannot like no shout at my child that every time you're sitting on bed because I have not provided the alternative before. So now,
True.
like when this particular pandemic thing happened, and now this happened for the second time. At least this time I should be careful, right? I know I have learned from my mistake, but now at least I can that bridge that gap and communicate with my child. Like, see, buddy, these are the things which happened earlier. We don't want to repeat those mistakes again. Let's have a structure. Okay, so now again, this I tell to all the parents: you can't become a friend overnight again. You need to gain the trust of the child, right? So
Absolutely.
start telling your struggles. Start not struggle as an emotional stories, but how you are coping, right?
Right.
Okay, you are anxious right now, even you want to go to call the office, you want to meet your colleagues, but how you are coping up with the thing. Okay, and when you are like no kind of making the timetable of the child, and I don't know why people feel that timetable is for school. No, timetable is for home as well. Give the timetable, keep the consistency, and the children generally like no kind of when they are in that pattern, they start following it. Now how do they follow it? If you will expect a teenager to open the book and do self study, it will not happen. It's a myth. You really need to sit with your you really need to sit with your child and like no at least be around. If you can't teach, but be around. They need you. So it is generally like no all the parents complain they don't do self study. It's okay, you need to inculcate self study habits when they are in primary years. You just overnight you can't expect your child to like no do self study. So coming about like talking about suddenly you can't even become buddy to your child. So even if you don't have teenagers or you have one teenager at home, start with the younger one at least. You really need to like no have an open, transparent communication with the child right from when they're young. Again, it is a thing like no when the child grow old and then you become friend. No, so
Absolutely.
there has to be a fine balance. So the child should understand your authority, and at the same time, child should be able to trust you, so that the child can talk to you about each and everything. You should have that confidence that I know everything about my child. I don't need to like no literally look for those codes to open my child's mobile, or like no check my child's like no social networks and all. And honestly speaking, there are again no boundaries. Kids who are just as young as 8 year old have Insta account or Facebook account. At first place, how? Like what kind, like why do they need even that kind of a like a social network? They don't need it. Please, as parents, understand. Stop at the right time. Once like no, you will feel oh it's so cute. Okay, my child is just like putting some cute pictures. No, that's not a place for teenagers. That's not a place for kids. It's for adults, because as adults we can filter it out what is good, what is bad. This kind of a comment is okay for me, even if the person is like no being trying to be nasty or this thing, it's okay, right? We as adults, even it is sometimes difficult for us